So tell me how you first met and why you decided to become a writing team.
Well, I first met Dan in 1971. My first year as a writer on the electric company. I don't know if I'd met you in the Bible building.
I was there, but we may not have been in production. When Sesame Street wasn't actively shooting, there was nothing for the writers to do, and we didn't come in.
The offices for the show that I worked on, it was called The Reading Show. Their second venture into TV after Sesame Street. We had offices in this commercial building, and we had no offices. There were just metal desks in a cluster. But we moved to them was the ASCAD building. I guess it is still the ASCAD building. A nice skyscraper, and so we all got our own offices. No windows, of course, but offices. But the writers for Sesame Street and the electric company were in like a same little common area. And Dan's office was across the hall from another writer from our show, and so there was just.
But you were next door to him. I tell people we were across the hall from each other. We were.
I thought it was me, Dunsmuir, and Jeremy.
Possibly.
Anyway, but we were all in the same general area. And so I think I said before, I got to know Dan's ex-girlfriend, Sharon Lerner. She was in research, was it? Or,
yeah,
a researcher. And she was the hot chick in the workshop. And everybody, not Randy, but she was also very generous and supportive, and it was a different time. People, we had yet to achieve what our goals were. We had jobs, we had nice jobs, we could earn enough money. This was 1971. You can make $400 a week and have credit cards at Bloomingdale's. It sounds antiquated, but it's true. And I'm not sure who approached who about whatever meal or something, but someone did, and we went, and the rest is history. Pretty much. No. I think they actually.
But really, it took a purchase when I came out here the first time. You were already here, and I collected before I left a few phone numbers of people who were in town.
Right.
And you were the first one I called. I was staying with my sister and brother-in-law. My brother-in-law was a producer and had a sitcom that he had created with Alan Alda called We'll Get By. He was producing that summer.
Mark Merson.
So, yeah, Mark Merson was my brother-in-law's name. So I had a place to stay. They had rented a house in Bel Air for the summer, and I could stay with them. So with their phone, I called Thad to say, I'm in town, want to get together. And he said, not only said yes, but with almost no waiting said, I'm supposed to pitch a show called That's My Mama next week. Do you want to do it with me?
Because I could not imagine doing it by myself. As much as I ended up, running alone and enjoying the process, I was terrified because I was really just learning. I was really a little lamb. I could write jokes, but even back then, talking about shows, the difference between shows today and shows back then, even on a show that didn't have the mandate of greatness. It didn't have the great comic cast. And That's My Mama didn't have anything great about it at all. But it still had a structure. It still had a structure that, where you could build the comic moments. It just, so you can actually learn. And the people who were the head writer of that show, his name was Larry Siegel. He was later the variety shows. He'd done Carol Burnett. He had a partner named Stan Hart. So he was kind of nervous himself.
He also regularly wrote for Mad Magazine.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
What was interesting one of the interesting things about that, you and I both had a similar reaction when we were asked about what the Emmy meant to us.
Right.
That it's kind of a validation. And I was thinking, I'd always worked in children's TV, and suddenly there was at least something saying, well, you did a damn good job.
Yeah.
That was nice and refreshing. But you have to prove yourself. I came out here very uncertain because I hadn't done adult television. And in our first meeting at That's My Mama, when we were pitching, they brought in the writers, including two guys who had written for Jack Benny.
Right.
Hal and Al.
Goldman and Gordon.
And I don't know which one is Al and which
Goldman,
one is Al.
Al
Okay.
Gordon. For 39 years.
So them and Larry Siegel, and I think there was one other. And with every idea we would present, they would all discuss, and it took me about 20 minutes to realize Thad and I were the two best writers in the room. And it was wonderful for me because they didn't know it yet. But one day they would, and in the meantime, I didn't have to be scared. I was going to make it in this industry.
God, I still was nervous, and I was intimidated by the age, the experience. I thought you were going to tell a story about how we pitched a joke, and and one of these two guys, Gordon Goldman, written radio, Jack Benny, TV. I mean, that's what they've done, but that's not. And they're all writing a black sitcom. Go figure. But that's what they did back then. And we pitched a joke, and one of the two guys, sits back and he says very, very coldly, "That's funny."
It's very funny.
It's, yes, but it's like we're not going to give you the right to laugh at yourself.
Well, to tell the story inside out and backwards, we were taking turns pitching,
Right.
and I got the one that had that joke in it, and I thought, oh God. Don't blow it. Just say it. Don't try to sell it. Just say it so they can hear it. And I said it, and there was silence. And I
Complete
went,
silence.
Oh, all right. I thought it was funny. And then we got this reaction. We had impressed them.
Yes. The Queen says there's a crumb of approval. The Queen says take this,
It's
please.
like those old jokes. Number 47, ha ha ha. And
Right.
number 32, nobody laughs. So
Right.
you told it wrong.
Those guys actually told us a story about being in the Polo Lounge, and they were writing for Milton Berle at the time. And so Milton comes into the Polo Lounge, he sees his writers, they see him, and they say, Milton, come in and tell us some of our jokes.
We are going to skip over a lot of your joint credits together, but we want to touch on the big ones. So in 1979, you wrote the 5th installment of Roots, the Next Generation. So tell us a little bit about writing that.
Well, still on the theme of uncertainty about writing, I had written alone, That's My Mama, season that we got canceled. I'd done Maud, done another show that I won't talk about unless I'm given lots and lots of money, and a passport to Canada in case Trump wins. But I still, I'm on the show Maud. I'm not doing as well because, again, I can mimic the jokes, but the show is about a menopausal middle-aged couple dealing with adult issues, and I just didn't have enough life experience. I could write good jokes. I could occasionally, and if the shows were broad, if the episode was a comic kind of story, I could ape it. But if it was a show, about a real deep Walter Maud psychological issue, I'm not there just feeling my way through. I guess this is okay. And so at that time, it was, again, probably the best known black writer, whatever crap. But they were doing an episode of Roots. And just like with the Electric Company, they had taken flack for having no black writers on the first time. So Stan Margulies, a very lovely man, a great pedigree, lots and lots of great credits, calls me. Again, my agent had set this up. Well, to make a long story short, they offered me the episode. I can't. I'm on staff on the show. We'll wait for you. We'll wait. So, no, you understand. Every excuse they had. I have to do this. Yes, you've got no choice. This is one of your biggest credits in the world. You'll do this. And he did wait for the season to finish. And I said, I can't do this alone. I got to call Dan. And I did. But I knew that I'm not sure if I don't know if I had asked about.
You had talked to them about me before. At any rate, that's what you told me. At the time.
Yes. And they were, no, you cannot. And it had nothing to do with the fact that they were determined to have one black writer, without some honky attached to them, a black writer write this episode. Do you hear me?
Well, a detail that I'm remembering is that when they finally said yes, you said to them, well, I want to work with Dan because he has so much long-form experience. But I didn't. And they asked to read it. Mm-hmm. It's some long script of mine. And you were surprised when I said to you, I don't have one. And we called our agent, Gary Cosset.
Right.
And he said, okay, don't lie to them. Don't try to write something over the weekend and hand it in. So it actually didn't say don't lie to him because he was saying, Thad, tell them Dan's not available. If they give you the job anyway, they might hire you anyway. If they do, you two write it together. You take care of Dan financially. Split
That's
the
right.
money.
Exactly. That was the deal, and we did, and Dan was working. Dan had a daytime job himself. He was working on a show. Was it Ferdinand Tonight? Or
This was America Tonight.
America Tonight. It was a whole series of shows, variety shows that were very clever. Martin Mull was the host of one of them.
Martin Mull and
Fred Willard.
Fred
Willard,
Willard
yes.
was just brilliant. Still is.
Yeah, he is. So, we're both of us have day jobs. We're coming over to my house at night or his house to write. We're using an old-fashioned Underwood 1927 black typewriter, because I just loved them. George S. Kaufman wrote
At your
that.
house, at my house,
Yes.
it was an electric typewriter.
Yes.
Yes, he's the Luddite.
I'm the Luddite. And as we wrote, it's just, no, this is not fair. It's not fair. You can pay Dan, but you need to pay him with credit. And so I turned the script in and went, against the advice of the agent and,
Bravest thing I ever saw a human being do.
Well, to me, it was not bravery. It was just decency. Well, ABC just had a shit fit. The executive on the show, a woman named Esther Shapiro, just told my agent he will never work in this town again. He betrayed us. I'm not kidding. These people were just furious. Well, the only person who wasn't, David Wolper, the exec producer, literally threats of, you won't work here again. You just let us down in the worst way. You liar. They're calling me a liar. Well, the only person who wasn't upset was Alex Haley. And I called him, and he said to me, and I may cry over this. He said, because he was a very reserved man, not evocative at all, but he said, look, this too shall pass. And I knew we were safe. I knew it. And when they handed out the awards, you came to the ceremony, didn't you?
Well, we got a nomination. We got nominated for a Writers Guild Award.
Right.
I don't think we got nominated for an Emmy.
But we had some kind of
Well, the same night
award.
we won the Writers Guild Award for MASH.
Right.
So,
But I thought there was a Roots celebration, some party, and I said, "You're coming." I remember that. And David Wolper, and giving him the cold shoulder, well, we were bad.
but we did have a meeting with Stan Margulies and I think with Wolper, the two of us, which was they invited us. This was later, and I think it was meant to say, "Okay,
Right.
peace."
Right.
You got nudged on the shoulder.
I did. We have a few minutes left, so let's talk a little bit about MASH.
Okay.
In '79, you joined the writing team on season 8. So
Right.
how did that come about?
We did not talk much about the Waverly Wonders. What's really interesting about that is Waverly Wonders was a series that my brother-in-law created, and
Mark Morrison, same one.
and they put together a rather good writing staff
On Waverly Wonders.
for the Waverly Wonders, but that kind of wasn't all that it needed, and it did not make it. One of us, John Rappaport, got hired on the MASH, and they were looking for other writers to bring in. He mentioned us and Dennis Koenig. So it was the staff of the Waverly
The
Wonders.
entire staff of this really bad NBC show winds up
We
running
wound up, we were MASH.
the crown jewel of CBS. Exactly. We had to write a script. We had to audition. We had to write a script, which we ended up writing, for whatever reasons, about half of it overnight. But we turned it in, and Burt Metcalf, the exec producer, and you know the club better than I do.
Well, what I remember vividly is we worked out the story with the two exec producers, one of whom was John Rappaport, the other was Jim Mulligan, and Jim didn't bring any people in to support him, so John had his team and Jim didn't have a team. Mm-hmm. But we worked out a story with them that I knew didn't work and wasn't very good. But the premise was good. The premise was Hot Lips Houlihan is accused of being a communist. And we handed it in with a story that didn't quite work and waited. We had an offer on the table from Alice.
Yes.
That we were waiting to hear from MASH because that was the one we would certainly prefer.
Because we've written a script on Alice. And
the word came back that Burt Metcalf had read it and said, well, the story is nonsense, but they're really good writers.
Yeah.
I thanked him many times for having that insight.
Tell us a little bit about working with Burt.
The first word I thought of was gentleman again.
Yeah.
Gentleman, someone who really, really wanted to do good work. He had been on continuity, been there from the very beginning as an associate producer. He learned how to direct. He learned from Larry, and Gene Reynolds doesn't get enough credit ever about this show. I mean, Larry wrote every word. Larry has said, because Larry did a project after MASH called, it was about relationships, and it didn't quite work. And Larry said, it didn't work because I didn't have a Gene Reynolds with me to tell me when to stop and rein me in. But Bert, slyly, sneaky, sly. I mean, he would wear these glasses, and he'd sit at the table with the script, and he was like, essentially, he was like a babysitter at times. Because Dennis Cook and I were playing around, and Rep Report's doing something else, and Bert, if Bert got tired of the shenanigans, he would just, Dennis got the glasses. This is Bert.
Look up from the script. And that was,
We would
freeze.
Yes, that's it.
When I ran the Newhart show, I bought a pair of glasses, reading glasses, so that I could do that, and it worked. And within 6 months, I had to have them. I couldn't read without them.
Great. So you guys worked on the finale episode, which is one of the most iconic television episodes of all time. So tell us a little bit about the process of writing that.
Weird. Very weird. We worked out the story. Of course, the show had to be done and shot out of order because, and there was, well, who's going to write this? Who's going to, well, Alan will write it, by himself. And I'm not exactly sure where the momentum came for the idea that we would all have a hand in this.
Well, at first it was Alan and Elias and David.
Right.
And we took, not an angry stand, but we said we all have been working on the show equally as hard as they have, and why can't we all do it? We had a meeting to discuss that with Alan,
Right.
which I was divorcing at the time. I had a divorce hearing downtown, and I called my attorney and said, "Can I miss it? Can you do it without me?" And she said, "Yes." So I went to the meeting, and I heard that had made an impression on Alan. He said, "My God, he walked out on his own divorce hearing." So we wound up finding a way for all of us to write it.
Which was cumbersome, but in its strange way it worked. I mean, it would write in shifts. So Alan was the fulcrum, and so Elias Davis and David Pollock, who were very good writers, and a lot of the story really come from Elias. A lot of the images, the whole of Hawkeye on the bus with the chicken. I mean, that was Elias in the meetings. But we all again had our contributions. So Elias and David would write pages 1 through 20. Then it was like a relay race. And then we hand it off to us. It somehow got put together. It somehow just did. But
we also, once it was written that way, we rewrote it the way we always did.
Yes.
Around the table. And fixed it up. One thing, I fancy that I deserve some credit for, I had talked to a doctor who had served in Korea who told us about a bunch of Korean musicians, a Korean band.
Oh, that's what you did. Sure.
Who had surrendered to his MASH unit because they had no more food, and they were a band for the other side. So we did a storyline based on that where Charles meets some Korean musician and tries to teach them to play the Mozart Clarinet Quintet.
That's right.
And that story ended when they were taken away. He set up a concert and said at the concert, there are the men being taken away on a bus, on a truck, and he loses them. And as we were laying out the last of the story, we came to a triage scene, which Bert had wanted to do from the beginning, because he had a quote from a nurse in Korea. They declared peace, but it didn't begin for 12 hours.
Right.
And during those 12 hours, the fighting continued because the lines were going to be the final borders. So the fighting continued. Peace had been declared, and wounded were coming into the MASH units. And they said and this is from Time magazine from that time or something, Bert wanted to use this quote, "Are you happy that peace has been declared?" And she gestured to the triage and said, does this look like peace to you?
Right.
The line we gave to Hot Lips. Well, as we were writing that triage scene, I thought, damn it, one of those Korean musicians ought to be in there. And I said, this would be a really good ending for that story if Charles sees somebody he just befriended and was playing music with come through. And the reaction I got was, no. And I didn't know what to do because it was right. The next time we came to that in a rewrite, I brought it up as if I'd never said it before. So, you know what would be good here? And I pitched it. And I got No. And we went through it one more time, and I thought, well, go for it. No one's seen
Hat
it.
trick.
And I said, oh, I have an idea. And this time we went, yeah. And we did it. And it's one of the effective moments.
It really was. It really, really was. It buttoned up that story very well. And also, it played to the metaphor of what the series was. You're in, among them. What's special about? It's about the fact that you must go crazy to live in a world of insanity. If you don't, and also, that any moment can be interrupted by the war. It's not. The war is not convenient.
Well, we've run out of time, but thank you so much for your time today. It was
Oh,
really
thank you.
a
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Nobody pays attention to writers.
Oh, we do.
Not even writers these days. Especially not even younger writers.